let's see, counsel, is it Miss Wagner, can you hear me okay?
I can, Your Honor. Lauren Wegner on behalf of Mr. Travis.
Okay, so I see Mr. Travis, and then who all do I have present in the courtroom?
This is our Miko.
Okay. Okay. And
Detective Watson.
okay.
Detective Barnes.
Okay. Sir, you are?
Seriously, from the 19th.
Okay.
I'm with all three.
Okay. So counsel, if you don't mind, I guess I'd probably just have, since the matters are related, probably just have the petitioners sit together at the table. Are you okay with that?
That's fine, but my expectation is that they'll have to have their own probable cause finding and meet their own burdens, and that a decision would not be together.
Understood. So does that make sense, Ms. Waldrop and
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Armijo?
Yes.
Yeah. So these are two different petitions. Each petition, they each have to have their own analysis. So I can either have both of you sit there and tell me, or we can do it individually. I have read the petitions. The way this works is, and counsel, you've received the petitions as well?
I have, Your Honor.
Okay. Yeah, did you do anything written in response, or just plan on going forward orally today?
I've had an opportunity to speak with my client because there are criminal elements.
Oh, you're still on mute, Ms. Wagner.
Well, I have a dog alarm at this house, if you can't tell, but
No worries.
Your Honor, I have had an opportunity to consult with my client because there are allegations that potentially could be criminal, and because the military is involved, and because there's a potential civil and military response in this matter. I have counseled him to invoke his Fifth Amendment privilege at this time. I've let him know that he does not have any burden in this matter, and that burden falls on the petitioner. And so he's going to remain silent. That is why we decided not to file a formal response. But he is denying all of the allegations at this time.
And do you know whether or not there have been any criminal charges referred to the prosecutor's office?
I do not.
Okay. Detective, do you know whether or not they've been referred?
They likely will not be referred to the local jurisdiction.
Okay. So, Ms. Waldrop, why don't we take you first? Go ahead and come on up.
Your Honor.
1 second. So, are you planning on offering testimony?
Yes, Your Honor, I am.
So why don't you raise your right hand? Solemnly affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
I do, Your Honor.
So does it make sense? Could you hear what Mr. Travis's counsel was saying?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand what she was saying?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like me to know?
Senior Chief Bremer is also supposed to be a part of this Zoom. I'm not sure if he is on. Is he on?
Mr. Bremer, Senior Chief, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir, I can.
And how is Senior Chief Bremer involved?
Senior Chief Bremer is in my direction command, and I would like him to be here as a part of my behalf.
Okay. So he's here. What would you like me to?
I would like for him to be able to speak with me as well on some of the matters.
Okay, so the way this works is it's a little bit like my job is to gather information that's presented to me, okay? I think there's a little bit of wiggle room where I can ask for clarification or if something's not clear to me, but my job isn't necessarily to present the evidence that would necessitate whether or not an order gets presented. That's on you. And so if there's information you'd like me to know in addition to what's in the petition or any information that maybe Mr. Bremer, or excuse me, Senior Chief Bremer can offer. If there's any additional information that's not in the petition, counsel for Mr. Travis will have an opportunity to ask questions. Mr. Travis himself is not going to testify. He's invoking his Fifth Amendment rights, which is he's certainly entitled to do. So are there any questions that you want to be asking Senior Chief Bremer that will help me make my decision?
I think I'm just going to read my statement that I have here before me, and he has my statement as well.
Okay, so make sure you speak up. So the mask, if you want, if it makes it easier, you can pull the mask down. So go ahead.
I would first like to start by bringing up that MA2 Travis has violated his no contact order by attempting to contact MA1 the day of court. He attempted to contact us on his personal cell phone, which he had not contacted either one of us on that cell phone for quite some time. Since about the middle of March, he's not contacted us off of that cell phone. So the day after court, when he verbally said that he would not contact us and he knows not to contact us, he did. He attempted to. And he actually purchased a burner phone that he could dispose of and claimed, he told me that he had gotten rid of our numbers out of that phone that he had because he did not want anybody to know that he had contact with us, and he was only going to be contacting us off of this burner phone that he had. So he did end up contacting us the day of after the court hearing. He attempted to contact us off of his personal cell phone, which he had no reason to do so, and he knew better than to do that. MA2 Travis also sexually assaulted me in the month of December. He was also in my direct chain of command. He was over me. I worked very closely with him. He has made comments about murdering other coworkers, and he verbally threatened a coworker and told him he would shoot his knees out if he continued to contact or talk to us or have anything to do with us, that he would shoot his kneecaps out. MA2 Travis has instilled fear into us by making us fearful for our safety, along with the safety of our coworkers and those around us, by making remarks on how he wants to take down, harm, and even kill them. He has displayed over time very jealous behavior towards us or anybody that gets close to anyone or me or myself. MA2 Travis also showed up in the middle of the night at my house, which I felt was more like stalking behavior because we made it clear that we did not want him coming by the house. We told him that we would like him to leave, and he left that day that we had asked him to leave. But he decided to show up. We decided that he was going to show up Thursday. He left his belongings, and we packed all his belongings and set them outside for him. We made it clear that we did not want him to come back to the house. Well, he decided that he was going to show up Wednesday about 1 in the morning when he had no business being there. He didn't take any of his belongings that we had set outside. He showed up, and I know he showed up because I had written a note and I set it on the door, and the note basically said all of your belongings are outside. We changed the locks that night because we were fearful that he was going to come in because he was upset that we had asked him to leave. So we changed the locks on the house inside out so that he could not come inside. And that night I heard him there. I heard him walking around, and I know that it was him because he took the note and then texted me after he took the note about 1 in the morning and was like, I'll make sure I have all of my things out, but he had no business being there at 1 in the morning after we made it clear that we only wanted him to show up Thursday during the daytime to collect his belongings. After this no contact order was also placed, we started taking pictures of mail in the mailbox because that's only about 100 yards from our premises of the house, and we noticed that the mail started going missing, and that pieces of the mail that were towards him were no longer there. He also displays very aggressive behavior when he found out that he was under the spotlight with an investigation with the Navy. I believe that I need a contact order because one, he sexually assaulted me in the month of December. He has made threats of how he wants to murder other people we are close with, and I am feared for their safety along with my own. He has shown up at our house in the middle of the night when we asked him to leave for good, and continued to come back in the middle of the night. Right now, he has no reason to want to be near us, and I do not believe he needs to have weapons when he is threatening his own life along with the life of others. He displays extremely paranoid behavior, claiming people follow him around and watch him, and the burner phone itself was very paranoid behavior. He took his phone and buried it in the bushes, his real phone. There's no record of any of the things that he has said that he's done. Like some of his lies go as far as being in combat and claiming he has done all these things that he has not done, and gone as far as to tattooing these things onto his body. He has instilled fear into us by making homicidal and suicidal comments. We are fearful to the extent that we have changed our lives around to be out of the eyes of him by deleting our social media accounts. We have moved out of our house that we were so comfortably in. We broke our lease, actually. We are fine losing our deposit so we can be out of that house because he knows where we live and we don't want him to know where we live. We have been placed into emergency barracks on a military installation. We have also been pulled out of work. We have been removed from work because he was working closely in my close contact with people that we work with. We've also gotten an MPO so that he can't get near us on a military installation. And circling back around to how he has made comments on previously threatened to harm others along with himself. He's also made comments about previously harming people, like murdering people. Like he said it was more of like in a combat setting, but he's never been in combat, and something to do with a child and how he had killed a child.
Counsel, do you have any questions for Ms. Waldrop?
I do. Ms. Waldrop, did you live with Mr. Travis?
Mr. Travis did live with us for quite some time, but it was a very uncomfortable setting, and I feel as if he weaseled his way into the house. I can circle back around to that.
And how long did you live with Mr. Travis? From what date to what date?
So just make sure this gets a little bit awkward via Zoom because it's can't quite see.
He lived with us for about 2 months. He moved into the house the day after. He was staying with me, actually. He stayed with me for about 2 days because he was supposed to be looking for a new house. And then the night that the sexual assault had happened, my other roommate did not live there at the time, and I was going to contact her the next day and ask her as to how I should get him out of the house, but he ended up engaging in a relationship with her the next day. And it made things very awkward, so I would avoid the house and I wouldn't be around the house during that time.
And Ms. Waldrop, it's true that there's no police report attached to your petition, is that right?
That would be correct.
And it's true that there's no sexual assault medical record from any hospital visit attached to your petition, is that true?
That is true, but that is because it makes me
Thank you. Thank you. In your petition, in your statement today, you make mention of many things that are not included in your petition. In your petition, you do not state that Mr. Travis has directly threatened your life. Is that correct?
Mr. Travis has not directly threatened my life, no.
Thank you.
Verbally.
And it's true that Mr. Travis showed up at the home because he was living at the home to collect his belongings. Is that true?
So he did not collect his belongings, and we asked him not to come back until the day of Thursday during the daytime to collect his belongings. So when he showed up in the middle of the night, he had not taken anything but a note, and we had made it clear that we did not want him to come back.
And yet at that time, he was living in that residence. Is that true?
We had kicked him out.
I'm sorry?
We had kicked him out 3 days prior.
And when you kicked him out, did you have law enforcement tell him that he was not allowed to come back?
We did not, but we told him that.
Thank you. I have no further questions for Ms. Waldrop. Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Waldrop, are there any witnesses you'd like to call and ask questions of?
You would be asking the questions or I'm asking the questions?
You ask the questions.
Can I have Detective Watson? I have to have Senior Chief. I'll have Senior Chief Bremer.
Okay. So Senior Chief Bremer, can you unmute yourself? So, and forgive me if I don't know your rank. So, but Senior Chief Bremer, Ms. Waldrop has some questions for you. So if you could make sure to speak up so we can make sure you're recording, and opposing counsel, or excuse me, counsel for Mr. Travis will have an opportunity to ask you questions in response to any questions asked by Ms. Waldrop. Understood?
Yes, sir.
So can you go ahead and raise your right hand for me? You solemnly affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Okay. Ms. Waldrop, what questions would you have for Senior Chief Bremer?
Senior Chief, would you mind talking about maybe what you have noticed with my behavior along with MA1 Army Hose behavior after these events? And after getting involved with CID in the previous court hearing?
I think I could sum it up with, I wrote a little something so that I'm not all over the place in my statement. Is it okay if I just read that and that might answer the question?
Sure.
And Your Honor,
Counsel.
respondent would object. This is not a narrative response. It is a testimony elicited by direct questions. I know that the rules of evidence are a little bit more laxed in a situation like this, but even still, I would ask that he be asked questions and he formulate a direct response. If they wanted to submit a declaration, they could have done that prior to today. And without that, it is unfair to respondent to be on their heels with regard to a declaration like that.
So do you mind, I presume then you don't mind if I explain to Ms. Waldrop in laypersonese what you're objecting to?
Absolutely, thank you.
And so Ms. Waldrop, what she is talking about is she would prefer, and the rules of evidence in these hearings is not quite as hard and fast as it normally is in normal court hearings. So there is some leeway, okay? And that's within my discretion. What she is asking, what she is objecting to in general is that you ask Senior Chief Bremer a question and then he'll answer the question rather than just, and I understand where counsel is coming from, because if he's just going to read from a narrative, that's more just it's a big long statement rather than in response to a question from you.
Right.
So she is objecting and asking basically that you ask a question that will then elicit a response from Senior Chief Bremer. So when I listened to you, you had about 3 different questions in one big. So why don't you break that out?
Senior Chief Bremer, would you mind talking about our behavior after this string of events?
Sure. So after all of these events kind of came to light, Waldrop and Armijo were both visibly distraught in their ability to kind of conduct work. Sir, I'm not sure if you're aware, but they're military police. So their daily duties require them to carry a weapon and perform their duties in defense of the installation in one way, shape, or form. So with that being said, myself, Senior Chief Maxey, as part of their chain of command, determined that it's not in the best interest of them or anybody else for them to be performing their duties with a weapon, as they were concerned about any repercussions or just the basic stress, the day-to-day stress that they're having to deal with because of their concerns about this. Does that answer your question?
It does. Senior Chief, would you also mind talking about how we cut our lease and the housing that we placed
Objection,
us?
Your Honor, leading.
I understand your objection. Go ahead and ask your question. Overruled.
Would you mind talking about after all of these things happened? Would you mind talking about how we cut our lease and have been placed into the housing that you have placed us into? What you guys thought was best for us and our safety?
Okay, I'm gonna break it down into smaller questions, because within that question is about 4 different questions. I know it seems really like, and I'm trying to kind of stay within the rules of evidence. I also understand where counsel's coming from. So just break it down into bite-sized pieces.
Senior Chief, would you mind talking about the barracks?
So after all of the events kind of this were unfolding, the issued a military protective order, and the 2 sailors, Armijo and Waldrop, were offered a place to stay in the barracks on base because of fear that Petty Officer Travis knew where they lived, and they were concerned about staying there.
Senior Chief, would you also mind talking about Travis's position in our section?
So, my biggest thing is to avoid like any, I really want to convey my observation of Petty Officer Waldrop, or Petty Officer Armijo and Seaman Waldrop on this matter. When something like this happens, especially when it's interdepartmental, the individuals are separated to the greatest extent possible. And something in this case, there was a geographical separation of installations. Petty Officer Travis was over in Bremerton. Armijo and Waldrop were working over at the subbase Bangor, so that they could avoid each other in the situation while this was happening. So as the workplace lost 3 sailors, the division 3 sailors, and their ability to carry their weapons and perform their duties appropriately.
Senior Chief, would you also mind talking about why you think that I might not have come forward about the sexual assault at first?
And objection, Your Honor, that calls for him to speculate. He does not have independent knowledge.
I'm gonna sustain that objection.
That's fine.
So,
May I also say some more things about this particular?
are you done with,
I will be, yeah.
well, are you done with Senior Chief Bremer?
I am.
Counsel, any questions for Senior Chief?
I do. Thank you. Senior Chief Bremer, at no point was Mr. Travis arrested under the military's orders. Is that correct?
Ma'am, not to my knowledge.
And you would have knowledge of that. Is that correct?
I would to some, I would. Not everything is made known to me, but I would have knowledge if he was arrested, yes.
Thank you. And he hasn't been charged with any crimes. Is that true?
To my knowledge, it's under investigation. As far as charges are concerned, I don't believe so.
Thank you. And you don't have any independent, you never saw Mr. Travis verbally or physically assault either of these two women. Is that true?
That's true, ma'am.
Thank you. No further questions.
Petty officer, anything further?
I have a few more things to say about this, but not
Okay.
really. With this, MA2 Travis was my direct supervisor. I was working directly under him. And he was at the time somebody that people looked up to until a series of events happened and things, he was placed under investigation and then things got viewed a little differently. But in something like this is a humiliating matter, and this is not something that you would want to bring forward to people, especially when he is in my direct chain of command and worked under him and worked very closely with him every single day. And then he started a relationship with my roommate. And that I brought this up when I started talking to a female NCIS agent. I was not interviewed by a female at first. And once I got with a female, I felt more comfortable to talk with a female rather than a male detective.
Counsel, any follow-up questions for Ms. Waldrop based on that statement?
No, nothing further. Thank you.
Are there any other witnesses you call or?
That's it for me.
Anyone who might know, has the command issued a no contact order? And I'm being,
Sir.
I don't, go ahead, Mr. Senior Chief.
My apologies, sir. The command has issued a military protective order.
Can anyone tell me what that entails?
Sir, I don't have the exact details of it, but I know it generally carries the same amount of weight as any military or civilian order that could be issued. I don't know the verbiage of it, but I know the weight carries the same.
Except, Your Honor, the military order will not take his guns away.
Pardon?
The military order will not take his guns away.
And I feel like that's something that,
Counsel, are you able to hear all this?
I can, just faintly. I don't know who that person was that spoke prior to Ms. Waldrop.
It was Senior Chief Bremerton, and sir, I forget.
Detective Watson.
Detective Watson indicating that the military order would not remove his weapons.
Understood, Your Honor. I would just state that nothing has been provided as part of the petition with regard to any documentation with a no contact order of any sort from the military. So if they wanted to submit that as something to discuss, I would have expected that in the petition. Thank you.
Understood. Any other witnesses you'd like to call?
that's it, Your Honor.
Based on the record that's been presented to me today, I am going to go ahead and enter an order of protection with regard to Stephanie Waldrop as a petitioner, Brandon Travis as a respondent.
And Your Honor, respondent's counsel was not even given an opportunity to present argument.
I apologize. You know what? You were absolutely correct. So, and I apologize.
Well, I mean to preemptively impose a decision.
No, I promise, make your pitch, and then I frankly, I would like to hear from the other petitioner as well, given that they have been roommates, and it sounds like they are. That's what I was wrestling with, is whether or not to hear from the other petitioner as well. I understand they're separate cases, but Ms. Wagner, I apologize. So please make your closing argument.
Thank you. Ms. Waldrop has the burden of proof in this matter. It's a preponderance standard, as we know. This is a situation where they are seeking a no contact order to be placed, and the side effect of doing so effectively would take away his right to bear arms, which should be made with an abundance of caution. This is a situation where there's no police report, there's no medical record of any kind of sexual assault, there's no basis or investigation. There was no law enforcement who told Mr. Travis to stay away from his residence. He was living at the residence at that time. He had his belongings in the residence. He had full access to get in and out of the residence, and any time that he wanted while he was living there. While they might have told him to stay away, they also didn't give him an opportunity to come and get his belongings. He needed those things to be able to continue to live and to work. Ms. Waldrop stated on the record that there was no direct verbal threats to the petitioner. She doesn't include any in her petition as well. We heard Mr. Bremer testify that the women were scared, and what they do in that situation is, when they're concerned, they think it's in the best interest to provide space. There was no arrest, no pending charges. They didn't include any kind of military protection order proof today. And so I'm left with basically her word alone with nothing more, and it's pretty baseless. And so I'm asking you not to impose the no contact order without more. I think that she has not met her burden today. Thank you.
Your Honor.
Brief rebuttal. Was that you?
No, it's me.
Briefly.
I actually do have photos of the boxes of his things that I boxed up outside of the house that he came by the house and didn't take. I took these that night. He did not take them. I also have a picture of the note telling him that he needs to remove everything from the basement, but he should continue to show up at the house. Even though he didn't take anything with him, he just showed up to the house in the middle of the night when he had no business being there. After we told him that we would like him to collect his belongings during the day, he showed up, didn't take his belongings at 1 in. He also is making comments to murder people and harm people, and has really gloated about how he has previously harmed people. And I just don't feel like he should have weapons when he is threatening to murder people and shoot our coworkers' knees out.
And Your Honor, my expectation in something like this, if there are text messages, I would expect text message pictures. I would expect real physical proof. The allegation alone is not sufficient, and it hasn't shown enough to meet its burden. Your decision today is so significant when it comes to his military career, his right to bear arms, and I ask you not to take it lightly. This is a situation that will have dire ramifications to his future. And
No,
without
I-
her verbal statement alone, without any kind of evidence, no proof of any of this, it's pretty fantastic. And I'm asking you to really consider the ramifications and the lack of evidence and proof and her burden. It is not our burden. He has invoked his Fifth Amendment. He has not been charged with any kind of crimes. He has not been arrested. Had they really thought that this was a criminal harassment charge where these women were in fear, in danger of somebody that had guns and was making threats, I guarantee that he would have been arrested and charged with a crime. You and I both know that.
Ms. Waldrop, you're living on base now?
I have a barracks room on base. Temporary barracks on base. And with that being said, he has also been removed from a position to where he can handle firearms on base or have access to firearms on base. So the military does see it as a threat, but there is just ongoing things happening with him being under investigation that lead into that as well.
And Your Honor, I would just say if the military is so concerned about somebody on base with guns, you know that they're going to deal with it appropriately on the military side.
But I have a temporary barracks room. I have BAH and I live out in town generally. The barracks room only is 14 days.
I understand. Okay. I'm of two minds, counsel and Ms. Waldrop, because obviously, counsel, as you're aware, the rules of evidence are much more slack in these hearings. You know, it's probably more that, don't get me wrong, I have guns, I get it. But you know, it's the presence of firearms that gets me.
And Your Honor, I appreciate that. I too am a firearm holder. I'm a concealed weapons permit holder, but this is a situation where we don't have any threats to use firearms that are documented or have any kind of evidentiary backing at all. And had there been, I would expect there to be criminal law charges and an arrest.
Ms. Waldrop, I'm reading through your petition and I understand your concerns, and I know I probably headed down a path of making a decision prior to opposing counsel making her arguments. And my concern is, I don't know, as you all can tell, I'm wrestling with it because I get it. I get the concern. I also understand that I'm bound by the rules of evidence to some degree and the presentations that have been made. I'm going to go ahead and find that petitioner's met her burden, but I am hesitant to order that this order go a year. So it's not going to be a year. A year is standard, kind of by default. It's not going to be a year because I understand what counsel is saying about his firearms, and I understand that there's a military investigation going on. Mr. Travis has invoked his Fifth Amendment right, which he is certainly entitled to do.
And I'm sorry, Your Honor, I didn't catch the duration of time that you are imposing.
I'm thinking 6 months, half a year. So it's going to be for 6 months. Senior Chief Bremerton, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to figure out whether or not to make this applicable to the workplace, or is that something that the military is going to handle on their own end?
Applicable to the workplace. I know that there's a military protective order in place, which is applicable to the workplace already. As far as that end is concerned, but like it was mentioned before, that does not pertain to any firearms as far as the MPO is concerned. And I think all of us in the military are always concerned with safety, especially when there's any allegations that are going out there until everything is resolved.
Is there what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to line this up with the military investigation.
Yes, sir.
And I understand, and counsel, bear with me here. If the military investigation comes out and there is no finding, okay, I'm loath to have this bleed over when the military's done its own investigation.
Right.
I would like to have these tracked.
Okay.
So is there a timeline with the military investigation on?
Generally, I don't think they give us a timeline on how this kind of stuff could turn out. It could go a multitude of different directions and be dragged on or carried on through different paths, whether that's depending on the findings or how, there's all kinds of different levels of, military, I guess you could say, punishment, whether that's commanding officers or it goes to a higher level, like a court martial or something like that. And as you know, sir, I'm sure that those things can drag on. But I can tell you that we have a very good relationship with our CID folks, NCIS, and our JAG on the base, who communicates very well with our counterparts out in town. So depending on whatever the resolution is, I don't think there would be any problem with conveying that back to town if that's what you feel like you need.
Council, any input on this? Do you understand where I'm trying to go with this?
I do. You're trying to kind of make sure that they comport with one another so one doesn't supersede the other. And so he's also able to do his job.
That's about it.
And I appreciate that careful structure that you're trying to achieve.
Senior Chief, is there any reason for Mr. Travis to have contact with Petty Officer Waldrop?
At this point, sir, there should not be any reason for contact whatsoever.
And Your Honor, while you're finishing this no contact order, would it be possible to have a quick breakout room with Mr. Travis?
Yeah, you're going to ask me to stretch myself technologically. How do I do a breakout room? I'm always on the other end where the judge is putting me into a breakout room. So,
And Your Honor, one of the reasons why I wanted to speak with Mr. Travis, because I recognize that there's a military order that has been discussed. While I haven't seen proof of that, I do recognize that it likely exists, because I wouldn't assume that Senior Chief Bremer would make mention of it if that was incorrect information. I see that you're imposing a 6-month for Miss Waldrop. I spoke with Mr. Travis, and we can stipulate to a 6-month for Miss Armijo, and that would resolve that case if the court and Miss Armijo are willing to entertain that.
okay, so real quick, so Miss Waldrop, as I've stated, I'm going to go ahead and enter it for 6 months. Okay, I'm not making it applicable to the workplace. Okay, because I'm not going to muck around with what we all do.
Right.
Okay, at all. And so I'm going to leave it up to your command and everyone else to deal with the workplace issue.
I understand.
Other than that, I am going to enter the order. It will be effective through October 19, 2021, 6 months.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So anything further in the Waldrop matter, Ms. Wagner?
No, nothing further.
Okay, so that will conclude the Waldrop matter, and you can take a seat. Ms. Armijo,
Yes, Your Honor.
why don't you come up and grab a seat? So this is in cause number, looks like 15-2021, Bremerton Municipal Court. You've heard the recitation from Mr. Travis's attorney. Would that be satisfactory to you to have an order that basically mirrors Ms. Waldrop's order, or are you seeking something beyond that?
I do believe I should try to consider something beyond that.
Okay.
I have a family. I have 2 children. So I just want to make sure that I'm safe here along with my children.
Why don't you go ahead and tell me what you'd like me to consider?
Okay.
Can you do me a favor if you're comfortable? There you go.
I think that Mr. Travis's behavior is very erratic. Multiple times he mentioned a lot of violence and being able to hurt people, but he related it in a way that was combat related. So he also mentioned that he suffered from level 2 PTSD, and I thought it was all being resolved by the doctor. I do understand and I do have sympathy for someone going through that, but also I don't believe someone that is suffering with that should be carrying their firearms, and someone that is still making statements of violence, current statements of violence to coworkers and anyone that crosses him realistically. The coworkers that he mentioned hurting were people that kind of began the investigation. And as soon as they crossed him, he started putting them on a list to hurt themselves and to hurt their loved ones and people that they were close to. One time while talking to me, he mentioned that he became suicidal because he shot a child in combat. Another time when this investigation started, I believe it was March 9th or 8th, I'm a little iffy on the date of when the full investigation started. He mentioned that he was very concerned. And at a later time, maybe like a month ago, he told me that he contemplated committing suicide, had suicidal ideations at that time. I don't feel safe, and if I'm going to be residing here, you do know the turnaround time is every 3 years or so for the military. Like, we are only here for a certain amount of time, and 6 months would just be it would not cover that time that I am here, Your Honor.
Anything further?
He violated his restraining order on the 14th of April. I made a police report that day. He violated by making a phone call. And it was the day after our original date to convene the restraining order. I do believe that he is capable of hurting people. The day that I was riding in the car with him, he was very irritable and behaving irrationally. And he stated that he could murder specific coworkers. And it didn't sound like he was kidding. And I tried to leave. And he said he was sorry, and he just held me in the car. And at that point, I realized, like, this is something that he could actually be capable of doing, is just hurting somebody. I don't think I have anything further, Your Honor.
Counsel, any questions for Ms. Armijo?
I actually don't have any questions for her.
So, Ms. Go ahead. Nope.
I have screenshots of when he did violate the restraining order.
And I'm sorry, I could not hear her. Could she restate that sentence?
That she has screenshots of when he violated the restraining order. Those aren't in the court file. Just so I
No, they are
understand.
not, so I would object.
I understand. So Ms. Armijo, I appreciate your concern. Okay, I do. And I don't know when you're gonna circle back out from your duty station here. I am gonna take the stipulation from Mr. Travis's counsel that will stipulate to a 6 month order. If you know, I've reviewed your petition. Yeah, that's.
And your honor, same thing. I still want an opportunity to be heard, because now that she's gone forward with her ability to go forward, I actually don't think that she met her burden at all, not even for the 6 months. I think that would have been a gift to her, to be honest, because what she explained today did not meet her burden. What we see here today is somebody who is saying that this is a person with PTSD. This is a person who likes to discuss violence or expresses feelings of whatever in a course of a potential relationship, friendship, that he expressed that he experienced suicidal ideation, that he might have some thoughts are not threatening to her, nor they should be. He did not threaten her. He did not do anything physical to incite her to be harassed or to make her feel unsafe. I don't think it's reasonable for her to feel safe, or for her to feel unsafe in this particular situation. I've had an opportunity to review the petition. I've had an opportunity to hear her testify today. She provides no proof or evidence except from hearsay of what he has said in conversation with her. I know that the rules of evidence are much more relaxed in this situation, but I definitely don't think that she met her burden. So we are asking for her petition to be denied. Thank you.
I appreciate those comments. I have reviewed the petition. I don't know, just based on what I've heard, based upon what I've reviewed in the petition, demeanor, so on and so forth, I am going to find that there's enough basis to issue an order that frankly mirrors what was done in Ms. Waldrop's case. Yeah, I mean, that will be my decision with regard to Ms. Armijo's case. Obviously, petitioners can, if they feel in the future that it needs to go beyond the 6 months, they can come to court and do that, as Mr. Travis can come to court with appropriate notice and seek to have it undone prior to the 6 months. There's nothing prohibiting that either, but in the meantime, that's what I am going to order. So that will be my decision. Miss Wagner, can I indicate on the order in the Waldrop matter that you've approved it electronically? Or would you like to review it prior to me signing it?
I'm fine with an electronic signature as long as it comports with your oral ruling, which I have no concern that it doesn't. So I'm fine with an electronic signature. Thank you.
So Ms. Armijo, I haven't heard anything frankly, or seen anything in your petition that would necessitate a protection order with regard to, I believe it's Isaiah. Okay, and there was nothing in the record that was presented either in your petition or verbally that would say why the protection order needs to extend to him. Because he's not a child of your relation, he's not a Mr.
It's not just the way he talks about hurting people. It's not hurting individuals. It's hurting their people they love. That is the only reason.
Gone ahead and completed that order. Same question is a mirror of the order that was done in the Waldrop matter. Ms. Wagner, can I indicate your electronic approval?
Yes.
So I need Ms. Wagner's signature, or not, excuse me, Ms. Waldrop's signature on that one. And then Ms. Wagner, do they have your email address here with the court?
I would assume so, but it's a pretty simple one, and I can just say it out loud if you need it.
Safe than sorry.
It's
What is-
Lauren, LAUREN, at B as in boy, J as in John, A as in apple, firm.com. So Lauren at BJA firm, like law firm.com.
And I'm not gonna deign to speak for the clerks, but I'm guessing they might be able to email it to you, email these to you, and then I trust that you can send them on to Mr. Travis.
Absolutely. Thank you.